They start this
Sorry.
My God, you too.
Captain's Pod, Stardate 313622.12. Welcome aboard the Starship Sinterprise, and thank you for joining us as we take a brief shore leave from the world of CinemaSins to explore the universe of Star Trek. I am your Captain Ian Whittington, and with me, as always, is the ambassador who is constantly venting drive plasma, Deneé Hughes.
Gross.
I'm not going to specify what that means. And he'll chase us round Perdition's Flame and the moons of Nibia. It's Ambassador Commodore Aaron Dicer.
Ambassador
Oh my
Commodore.
God, is he
I love being
outranked me?
Ambassador
Wait,
Commodore.
what's going on?
Listen.
Guys.
You know, you could be a regular ambassador, or you could be an ambassador Commodore. I mean, come on now. Let's go.
I don't feel well, guys. I think I managed to catch something from Deneé cross-Atlantic, across the ocean.
Atlantic.
Listen,
Yeah,
I apparently am leaking plasma everywhere as well.
Yeah, yep. Just venting drive
Jesus.
plasma all over the shop. How are you guys doing? Deneé,
Not good, apparently.
No. What?
That's
Aaron's
not
doing
good.
great. He's been promoted.
Don't you understand? Like,
Yeah.
Isn't that right? Do I understand correctly? Plasma's not that you need it in a ship.
Yeah,
So if
definitely.
I'm
And in
And
your
in your
blood.
blood, so-
Yes, I mean, humans.
you
yeah.
literally just titled me something that I'm like dying.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Enterprise is always, when it's in a battle
Listen,
and like the nacelles get
it's
hit,
just-
it does happen.
It's just, he's a guy. He doesn't want to say you're on your period. He has euphemisms.
no.
Like, you know, it's guys are like that.
No.
So.
I thought that was a core breach.
All right, well, now here we go. Let's talk about my
let's
last
not.
week. I nearly broke my toe. I was on my period, and I
Yep,
got
yep.
COVID all at the same time.
Nicely done today,
So I
Hughes.
guess
Well
maybe
done.
the title makes sense. All right, fine.
Dr. Mbenga wouldn't even come near you. He was just like, just put her in the transporter buffer, wait until a week has passed, and then bring her back out.
What is he operating on like Exodus rules?
Yes.
Like the woman's on her period, put her in a cabin for 2
Yeah,
weeks.
that's it. Just put her in a box
Wow.
until her box is better.
You think that you've isolated me. I think you've isolated yourself.
Yeah.
It's quite likely. It's quite likely. Okay, well, we are actually here to talk about Star Trek Strange New Worlds, not venting drive plasma. So this week's episode, episode 6, is called Lift Us Where Suffering Can't Reach, which is such like an original series classic title. Like
It's like a Shakespearean title.
they would do tons of Shakespearean stuff, like Beyond the Realm of Esophagus or whatever. I don't know what.
just another euphemism for vomiting.
Yes.
That's all. He's just got them all today.
But they would. It was like Last of Apollo's Children, or they would always do like these really outlandish titles. So I love
Very
it.
elaborate.
Very elaborate.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, I like that because I've been suffering for the last week. So I'm like, yes, please lift me out.
this was
of the
titled
suffering.
for you, wasn't it?
Well, I'm nervous to say that because consistently this show will tell you its title and you think you know what it means, and then it does something unexpected. So I don't want to be like, yeah, this is my episode, and then we go in and it's just shit.
It's just about like killing orphans and stuff.
I don't know what to expect. I am nervous though because I've loved every episode so much, so I'm just waiting for the axe to fall.
And just to eventually, but the great thing is, even if it is a bit lukewarm, it's episodic. Like next week could
Yeah.
be great.
Exactly.
Like this doesn't have the pressure of having to tie into anything overarching.
We're officially halfway, right?
We
Isn't
are.
it 10 episode
10
season?
episodes.
And we've seen 5.
We have.
So, yeah.
So super duper strong first half of the season. I will say that Lieutenant Ortegas, the actor that plays them, is the best follow on Twitter I can recommend. Like, she is enjoying every second of being on the Enterprise and being in Star Trek.
That's fun.
She just tweeted yesterday that she went to see Maverick and got recognized as Lieutenant Ortegas. And she was like, I couldn't keep my cool. It was the best thing in the world. I love it so much. And I was like, oh,
Nice.
that's so sweet. It's nice to have like actors that feel the weight of what they're doing and still deliver.
Yeah.
I've been following them on Twitter too. It's been so much fun to see. I think who plays for the first officer? What's her name? The actor.
Oh no!
I almost
Rebecca,
said
Rebecca Romaine. Rebecca
So
Romaine.
I almost said Stamos, but that was when she was married to. Anyway,
she still goes by Romaine Stamos, doesn't she? Maybe not.
Anyway.
No, I thought it was just Romaine.
Okay. It used to be that she kept it all because I remember her name. I don't know why. She's just one of the ones that I remember the whole thing. But anyhow, she's really fun as well and does a lot of retweets. And then there's this thing about Pike's hair going on where
Pike's
people are trying they're trying to get the same hairdo, and
I'm working on it.
The fan base is just really fun for this one. I genuinely feel like there was an episode, the episode where we her alien nature was revealed for the first officer. I feel like if I clipped out my reaction to her and my like crazy fan base and sent it to her, she would listen to it and be excited about it too. That's the vibe I'm getting from this crew, the actors behind the crew on Twitter.
It seems super interactive.
Really and really pumped as well.
Meanwhile, elsewhere in the sci-fi world, other franchises are having to release, things about their fans about quit being racist towards the people we put in our shows.
Insane. Star Wars, we're looking at you. Like, it is unreal.
Calling them out like that.
To be fair, though, there was some similar stuff with Star Trek and Uhura.
Was there?
And it's not a coincidence that Michael Burnham, Uhura, those characters are the ones that are coming under fire. Like, it is insecure. Grumble.
Ugh. Yeah.
There we do.
Grumble.
Right, with that, we will see you guys for a full debrief and 10 forward after we have finally watched episode 6 of Strange New Worlds. 2 to beam to the other. Oh no! Bye, Aaron!
Hey, listen, I got promoted. I'm not the one getting left behind here.
It's me!
I'm definitely going. It's which one of you two can race to the transporter
Jump
pad
in
first.
Yeah.
I'm unwell.
Yeah.
I'll just see you guys in hell.
Welcome to 10 Forward, the part of the show where we grab a beverage or something from the replicator and share our immediate thoughts and feelings on the episode we just watched together. Most important question first. Commodore, what are you getting from the replicator?
I'm sorry, you didn't say Commodore Ambassador? This is my
Ambassador Commodore. What are you having from my deepest, most sincerest apologies?
I am going to have a tea with 3 lumps.
Nice. Specify 3 lumps of sugar.
Correct.
Because I can give you 3 lumps and the tea will help that heal.
Yes, true.
And then now that all of your plasma has been vented, Ambassador, what would you like? Something with iron in it?
Listen, after today's episode, I don't think I want to take anything from the transporter for a while. Like, what if there's little bits of child in it? So,
right. How, man, when I said, you were just like, I don't know if I want to claim this as my episode. And I was like, what if they start killing orphans? I didn't realize how on the nose I was going to be.
Wait, did you literally say killing orphans?
Yes.
I said killing orphans.
Wow.
I said, knowing our luck, it'll end up being about that.
It's amazing.
And we were chatting about being triggered by kids stuff earlier.
Yeah.
So we tend to have this very strange thing happen on the show, which I kind of adore. Yeah, we're psychically linked to what we're about to watch. It really does. And if you're paying attention, we talk about it regularly. We talk about something and it happens on the show every week. It's a little eerie.
It's a little bit eerie.
Yeah.
Speaking of eerie, this week's episode...
Oh, sorry.
Wow.
Sorry.
Wow. That's racist.
I thought that was the transition. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Speaking of Spock, the crew of the Enterprise are forced to intervene as a shuttle in the Magellan system, which they're revisiting because of reasons, is attacked by a mysterious vessel. Pike interacts with an old flame, but a deep and dark mystery is at the foundation of this very xenophobic species. Overall thoughts and feelings, Deneé.
Yeah. I'm not going to say fuck this episode in a bad way. I'll just say
in a good
fuck
way?
This episode lightly.
Wait, what?
No, I think this episode overall was okay for me, but it's definitely not, it wasn't like hitting on a lot of the levels that it usually hits for me. And I don't think I'm surprised based on kind of the storyline and what was going on. And also, again, I'm unwell. So it's been strange. It's strange, like watching.
Wow, you really have lost your taste.
I'm watching. Yeah, I'm watching the show, and I'm just like, yeah, I think I'd rather be sleeping right now, and that's not a good sign.
No, it's not. Commodore.
Fork this episode. This was a terrible episode of television. I was so bored. There was nothing interesting about this episode in my opinion. So yeah, I got bored pretty fast, and it never managed to capture me. And there are a lot of reasons why that we will go into, but that's the broad of it is
That's interesting. I'm somewhere above you guys, but not super hot on it. I kind of accept this episode as one of the mid-season, middle of the run episodes that almost a filler, which, as we've said before, when you have a 26 season long series, I can kind of understand. When you only have 10 episodes, it seems a bit weird to me that you need a filler. It definitely has a message and something that it's trying to put forward, but it just didn't
kill children. Like, what is it?
Essentially.
Thanks.
Needs the many.
I'll write that in my diary.
Needs the many. But yeah, there was some stuff I really liked about it. I'd much rather this than last week's episode, but I totally respect where you guys are coming from.
Oh, I will
Deneé, you're bursting.
You prefer this? To last week's episode?
100%. Yeah, definitely.
Are you averse to fun? Like, what is your problem?
No, I'm adverse to cheesy, and I ended up. So when I re-listened to last week's episode, I ended up liking. It sounds like I ended up liking it, and I did. I did end up liking last week's episode, but it was so fluffy. Like, I just didn't like it. This at least is dealing with like a hardcore Star Trek moral dilemma, and it is a moral dilemma.
Is it though?
So you're happy to sentence billions to die over one kid? Like, I'm just saying, it's not great. It's not a good choice.
No.
But until you can find an alternative,
fluffy? I feel like this is just as shallow.
No, I don't think you can call it fluffy.
Yeah.
No.
Oh yeah.
I don't think you can call it shallow.
I think I'm understanding where Ian's coming from, but I do want to say I feel like this episode, like this one to me, is the writers going, okay, we want to introduce some kind of a way for the doctor to have a potential cure for his daughter. So we're going to weave that into the storytelling somehow. Because like to your point, Ian, yeah, if we were doing 26 episodes, you're going to have these kind of filler feelings. But here we have an intentional 10 episode run. And so everything they're doing, even though it's episodic, has a purpose. And even though they're not trying to, weave everything together in this like one mystery for the season like Picard did, they're still going to want to enhance everyone's character. We talked about it last week, actually, who was the weakest person. And for me, it was the doctor. And for Aaron, it was the doctor. And I remember, I don't know if I said it out loud, but I remember thinking like they're going to probably continue to cycle through the cast and give them the story arcs that they need. And obviously they're not just going to introduce his child needing care and then never touch on it again for the entire season.
Yeah.
So I think this was the writer's attempt to kind of go, how can we introduce a potential cure, not necessarily solve everything, but breathe life back into that storyline, which is important because people are going to be wondering about the kid and the transporter. And then they did something that you probably are more familiar with, Ian, than anyone on the show specifically. I mean, the listeners. Listen, we don't make any assumptions about what you guys know.
My Trek penis up against anyone else's Trek member.
But the idea that it's like that big theme of, okay, so there's this society doing something that's really fucked up. And then she even posits, the lady, she's like, well, you guys have your own shit too, right? And just that moral dilemma and doing kind of something old school. This one had a lot of old school vibes and feels to it that was really interesting. But yeah, it still felt really slow paced and I didn't enjoy. I particularly, I wish that they would have written a different way for us to have some technology for his kid rather than going to a society that sacrifices a child. Like, a really horrible way.
Here's my issue with why it's boring and why it's shallow. Because there is nothing in this episode that gives us any evidence whatsoever of why they need to do the sacrifice. They just tell us we need to do it, and they plug it into a machine and say the oceans of lava will rise. Okay, fine, whatever. But if you're really going to give me like a moral dilemma, I have to be able to feel both sides of that moral dilemma. I only felt the side of you're killing a child. There is nothing in this episode that gives me enough of a like other side of that dilemma to have any kind of, tug of war.
I mean, they do say that they don't understand how the machine works. They just know that their ancestors built it,
right.
And that is how it is. So
that's
it's kind of like the button from Lost. It's like, do I have to keep pressing the button, or am I just doing it because I've been told that I have to keep pressing?
Right.
But they are actively trying to find an alternate. They've just said they don't have a power source that's why they were at the pulsar. They were trying to find an alternate means. But
we're basing this all on just really general statements from people. Like there's I can't feel.
Yeah, there's not a lot of specifics.
Yeah,
I get
like,
that. Yeah.
Like, I get it now. Wow, what a conundrum. Like that, I just never
Why
felt
can't
that.
you evacuate? Like, why can't you all just leave the planet and move elsewhere instead of killing a child every 10 years?
Yeah, I'm super with you. And I wanted to spend time in that conversation too. Like I was thinking, okay, so if they join the Federation, what if even though they're a lesser technology in some ways, that they have an idea that ends up working? So what if there's a conversation there, but they just kind of leave it? Not only did we lose the kid twice, by the way.
Yeah.
Which,
yeah.
Let's just for the record, go on record here and say, when you show me a ship blowing up with a kid in it so that you can prepare me for his eventual worst death, that's not helpful.
Yeah, that's pretty fucked up. That's pretty
I feel like
wrong.
They're like, we need to sacrifice him and then like have the joy of getting him back.
Yeah. So
that when we kill him again, it's easier somehow.
Yeah, I don't know.
That was a really strange choice.
Are we done here? Is this a to be continued? Are we done here? Like, are we coming back? Is this kid like? I feel like the show is going to save this kid at some point.
It has to.
I would imagine. I would imagine. So I wouldn't even be surprised if it happened this season.
That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't be surprised if it happened next episode. Like it felt like it to be continued in some ways.
Perhaps. Just really quickly on the Mbenga thing is for me making that the B plot is that for me that was the kind of boring bit for me was instead of giving him an episode or giving him something, it's like, oh, this species can just be super advanced with medicine, therefore we'll time Mbenga in that way. Like that didn't feel like it needed to necessarily be the thing or be the plot. It felt a little bit, what's the B plot going to be this week? Oh, it was either going to be Hemmer or Mbenga.
We still haven't seen Hemmer. This is just 2 episodes in a row without Hemmer.
Today marks 2 weeks without any Hemmer time, and I'm not impressed with it.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And another one of my biggest issues with what they're doing with the Mbenga stuff is the fact that it's almost Deus Ex Machina stuff. Like they're not even putting any thought to, so far at least, how he's going to save her. It's just, oh, we found a species that can save
Technology.
her. Yeah, yay, plot convenience.
And this is, if I had one big weakness with the show, and so far it's actually been a strength, I've just been it's been niggling at me a little bit, is the lack of any kind of intent on explaining anything. Like, the ex machinas and the wrap-ups of the episodes so far have consistently been, do it. Like, it's, we found a thing, we found the formula, we found a maneuver, we found some science, and it's so tinily explained, and sometimes it's fine. You don't need that massive explanation, but at some point I do need a little bit of meat on the bone of how are we doing this, not just, it's the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a difference for me between being able to like blink through and kind of yes, whatever, when it's science stuff that they just want to be like, yep, do it, because I don't necessarily follow the conversations between Spock and Brilliant Child, for example. It's like, yeah, you know what? You guys just have your cool, clearly you guys are brilliant minds, do your thing. Like, I don't need to understand.
None of that made sense to you? You didn't immediately know what the subspace reconfigurement was?
Or like when the little kid redoes a thing and makes cute like little hoops for the little, that stuff I can be like, yeah, sure, it works, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I mean, if I was going to sin the show, I would try to maybe sit in that a little bit and ask some questions. But as just a viewer, I don't. But this episode, I do want to sit in those moral conversations about killing children, or a child specifically. And I do want to understand that, because there is something really interesting about the beginning of the show. They say something along the lines of, we've put everything into this one because this is the chosen one, and then there's a sacrifice. And so, like, the other thing I think I didn't like about this is it had so many tells. Like, you could see where this episode was going. It was so heavy-handed in every move it made that I wasn't surprised at any point by anything. And so far in the previous shows, there's been something else like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. Or, oh, we moved through that way faster than I thought. And this one was like, yeah, I kind of saw that coming the moment that she beamed on the ship. Like,
yeah, she's evil.
You know?
Like, she's the bad guy.
My note is literally obvious villain is obvious.
Yeah, she needed a mustache to twirl.
So I want this one highlighted for me that I'm okay with going, oh yeah, yada, yada, yada. This is just working. But there are some things that because of how I'm designed, I'm going to want to talk about more. And I think, Aaron, that was, to your point about, yeah, but why does it have to be this way? And did they think that I feel like maybe the writers realized if we spend too much time in that area, our story could fall apart and we just don't need it to, or they have more to share with us. I think it's interesting that they have this society that has this really terrible thing that they do for the good of their people, and that they're honoring it, and that they're not avoiding it, and that's going to keep them separate from the Federation, and that they have this sect of people that have gone to create their own, planet elsewhere because they don't agree. That's all a really interesting story. I think the most jarring part of it, and the reason that this one just doesn't sit well with me, is because of how it was so on the nose on things I didn't need to be surprised by, that I was hoping to push into something a little bit more surprising and meaningful by the end. And it's not that they didn't save the kid, although that's surprising. I wish that they would have. But there just needed to be more in this for me to feel like it was an intellectual relationship with the show that I adore. And again, I felt like the axe was going to fall. It fell pretty hard on me for this one because of the kid. He's so cute. Now he's all
so cute.
They'll save him. They'll save him somehow.
I think they're going to save him.
Is it? Did they say how long this ritual lasts? Is it every year?
Not to my knowledge.
I don't think they specified.
The remains of the previous ascended one didn't look much older than that kid. So I don't think it might even be yearly. Like, it's
like every year.
They may have said at the beginning of the episode, but it is like, man, probably at best 5 years. Maybe not even that.
It's basically like the idea that the human is the battery, essentially.
Yeah, essentially,
and it has
or there's something in the genetics of this child that only comes about when it's needed.
I didn't get the impression. I thought they picked a child and then made that child ready to be the battery. Like, I didn't get
with
you
their
might be
implants
right.
or something.
Yeah, I didn't get the impression that it was like, oh, we found one that has the right, genes.
No, you're probably right.
It could be a combination too. I don't know. But
what's really messed up is that implant that's in his brain, like, that just sustains his body for as long as possible.
Right.
So he wouldn't last as long. That chip is just there to keep his body ticking over, and he's still in pain. Like, it's really, really dark. But I kind of like that it went there and it did something a bit dark. I kind of like that the kid wasn't immediately saved by Pike to the rescue and overpowers everybody. Like, I think that would have probably tipped me over to the edge of not liking it. Like, I kind of like the ambiguously dark ending.
Do you want Pike to be this dumb? Like, this is the thing. He's so dumb in this episode. There's
penis. Isn't that the idea?
Power
the
boners.
idea
Yeah,
is
there's
that
definitely power boners in here
he
somewhere.
He has a crew of intelligent people that are doing all of the thinking for him. And that is one of my other gripes with the show so far, is that Pike is extremely charismatic, extremely righteous, but doesn't have to engage a single brain cell. But we haven't seen that from him. Like, he makes the command decisions, but we haven't really seen him engage his own brain.
But I'm just saying, like, Pike, whoever, like how quickly, like, what small amount of the history of cults do you have to have when somebody says someone's going to ascend to know that means they're going to die? How do you not see the virgin sacrifice coming a million miles away? Like,
or science, service, sacrifice. It's right there.
Yeah, it's but right context, that's a bit harsh. Like, context is really important. Like, ascension can be ascent to the throne or ascent to whatever.
They're doing a ceremony. It is so clear. Like, yeah, all the signs are there. Like it's, I mean, they're there just for the fact that
It's
we all
super
knew.
there.
Like, I mean,
super
I
there.
didn't. Not just when they did like the Ascension stuff. I was just like, oh, okay, cool. It might be like it's a reluctant king sort of thing or reluctant prince.
Oh no! I thought it was.
I didn't get the
I thought it was
sacrifice thing
coming
until
from
the
a
end.
mile
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
I'm just too pure. Clearly, you guys are twisted. Okay, let's talk about stuff that we loved. Deneé, give me some stuff you liked about the episode.
You know, I thought that Pike, the actor, like just the expressions of Pike in this were really fun
Handsome
to watch.
Ensign.
As much as there's things I didn't like about it, there's a lot that, of course, I love, and it's going to come back to the things that I've mentioned every episode previous. But like in particular, the slow zoom in on Pike's smirk when he sees the girl on board for the first time. It's just that smirk says so much. I wrote down ruh-roh. I know that smile and I like it. Like it's just it had that old school. Oh, we're gonna have Captain bang an alien in this episode because you've got the beautiful woman appearing. You've got the history. You've got the music that is like the very watered down harp porn music that kind of comes in, like
the doughy eyes.
Yeah, when you hear it, you're like, I know what they're doing.
Bound chicka brown cow.
But he had a couple of expressive acting moments in this. One was the initial smirk, and then whenever he's introducing number one to this lady, just he kind of is like looking back and forth between them, and he swallows awkwardly, but it's all very subtle. And I think that there is something about the way that is it Mount and what's his name?
Ensign Mount.
He's done something with this character that I really appreciate. He's not overacting to the camera. He's just super in the moment. And I really enjoyed that. I found that to be kind of a fun little quirky thing. Like he has a history here. This is awkward, but it's so subtle that if you're not watching him alone, you're going to miss it. So I enjoyed it.
One of my notes was Pike is so adorable when he's like embarrassed and like flirting and stuff. No, it's gold because, you know, I'm the captain and stuff. It was really relatable and it was very human. And it almost reminded me of like when Picard would be very, very awkward whenever like Deanna's mother tries to flirt with him and he just like turns into a rock. Like he does the opposite. He just gets really stiff and really awkward. And it's, even though like he's putting up a ton of walls, it's the most emotional that you ever see Picard get because he's like, nope, I don't have a bald head. People don't find that sexy. Stop it. Aaron, what did you love?
I didn't love anything about this episode. I continue to like the cast. I think Deneé's right. I did note Pike's reactions were pleasantly subtle and real and authentic, but then she opened her mouth and I like found zero chemistry between the two of them and was like, I don't understand his reactions now because she is clearly a terrible person.
Evil.
But also Uhura had a couple of those moments. She giggled at one point and I was like, I like that. That was fun. That was cool. So yeah, I continue to like this cast, even on episodes where they're given very little to do.
Fine. Then I'll just give you the list of stuff that I liked. I really like the Uhura rotation thing. I think it's really, really clever. Like it is giving us a glimpse into other departments as well and giving her a pair up with different people. I don't think we got much new out of La'an from this episode. It's still the same stuff we've seen already. Harsh security. Chief is harsh.
I don't know, but I feel like she did towards the end, and this was something that I noted as well, towards the end when she was backing her officers.
But that's what we've seen in every episode so far. It is, she's really, really harsh. By the end of episode, she mellows and is nice. Like it's that we're getting that one episode memory with La'an, and it might just be how she is, I guess. But
that's interesting. I didn't see it as her being nice. I saw it as her being like, "You did your job, and I'm backing you." But maybe I'm wrong.
No, I think both. I think both can be true. I just think she starts off at one extreme and then mellows by the end of the episode.
Yeah,
we're kind of seeing that loop. I am waiting for the Ortegas rotation where Uhura is just with Ortegas, and I'm expecting like no lesson plan, no nothing, just like be at the gym and then turn up and then start flying the ship around.
Who has what, one line in this episode?
Shut up! No, totally agree. Use her more. More. We got to see a little Enterprise tractor beam, which I think was the first tractor beam that we've seen, and I very much liked that because gimme.
I had another one. It's not that I didn't like anything else.
You
don't have to feel like you just have to start, keep going. If you want to,
No, absolutely.
I don't want you to feel alone,
I'll just start talking about other Star Trek that I like as well.
I could do that.
There was this moment when they board the ship that they destroyed, and Uhura reaches out to touch the panel, and she gets in trouble. I thought that was a really fun wink back to her touching the egg. Because
very true.
It's kind of like a little character quirk or something where you just you haven't learned your lesson yet.
Touchy. Yeah.
And I thought that was kind of a clever thing. If the first thing it just made me remember the egg episode, which was such a beautiful.
But it's also a character trait. She's a very organic person. She she doesn't want the Google Translate in her ear all the time. She wants to actually learn the language. She's very tactile. Sensual. She's very sensual in that way. She's a sensual learner. So it makes a lot of sense on a character level too. Although I do love that they just walk into the ship and are just traipsing around as if there are no possible risks.
This is in ReSINstance, but
I've got so much instance for that.
Scan for life signs. You couldn't have done that from the ship,
right? And
you're already in the ship, and it's now clear. No, it's not. You're in there for 30 seconds. It's no more clear than it was a minute ago. Anyway, things we like.
Yes.
So there was a tiny little touch that I really, really liked, and it was the pulsar was a pulsar. So the last shot of the show was Pike in his quarters and the pulsar pulsing and spinning. And I love that so much. It was just
I'm not sure what you're talking about. Explain to me what you mean the pulsar spinning.
So the planet orbits a pulsar, and it wasn't just when he's looking out the window. The star
space
would
sunset or whatever.
Yeah, the star would get brighter and then
I missed that.
Dimmer and then brighter and then dimmer, and it was as the star rotated.
Nice.
It was just it was a really, really pretty touch instead of the traditional lens flare and dramatic sunset. And I think the last big thing that I liked was the reverse prime directiving. When Mbenga is talking about, hey, can we have this technology to kill my daughter? And he's just like, yeah, no, we don't share. You don't share either. So in your face. I always like when those are my favorite types of episodes, when that's thrown back in in Starfleet's face, when you're all high and mighty now until you want something, and then that can always that can create proper dilemmas. But that didn't really go anywhere in this episode because he helps him anyway and has exactly the amount of one of the 13 ghosts of Scooby-Doo were captured this episode is how it felt. You weren't going to get the cure because there's still the rest of the season to go.
How long? Wait, we should save that for predictions. Never mind.
Write it down. Write it down. Don't forget.
Okay, write it down. Don't forget it. Any final thoughts? What was Deneé, who was your MVP?
My MVP. Oh my gosh. Aaron, do you know your MVP? You can go first.
Hemmer was my MVP. He had to be doing something cool somewhere outside of this episode that beats anything in this episode. So I'm going with Hemmer.
Amazing. Mine was Spock, just because I love Ethan Peck's voice.
So many characters given nothing to do in this episode.
No, you don't have to have one.
Yeah, I don't have one.
Oh man, it's tough crowd this week. Okay, I think we're going to have some fun in engineering. So with that, let's head over to ReSINstance's Futile.
Warning, warp core collapse in 10 seconds.
This is the part of the show where we re-engage our sin brains, remind ourselves that no TV show is without sin, especially episode 6 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. He says reluctantly, Aaron, take us in.
Well, let's start here and let's be clear. This is the 6th episode of a season of a brand new show that had 5, in my opinion, really good to great episodes. So let's keep that in the back of our minds as I list about 37 things that are terrible about this episode. And also,
at least 33% of people actually enjoyed the episode, judging by this sample size.
That's right. There you go. Statistics.
That was a really good blanket statement. How many of your sins just are under the category of sacrificing children?
36.
Yeah. That's you. I'll let you take that one. I'll let you take that one. I guess I'll just start at the beginning with previously on continuing plot points. The previously on in this is basically just reminding us of the two things that are going to be underlying threads, and then just chewing at the back of my brain. Oh no, here we go into the season. It's going to be like every Star Trek modern property ever, and it's going to be all about this stuff. And
do you think it's going to be like Obi-Wan Star Wars Episode 1, where it spends 5 minutes just reminding us what happened in the movies before the show began?
Right? Yeah,
like that.
Hey,
yeah,
it saves us from watching the movies.
That's true.
Deneé.
There's just so many people touching things that they don't need to be touching when they go and they beam into that alien ship to search for things.
We're not just talking about Pike and Laura. We're talking about touching other things.
Yes,
they're adults. Yeah. They have consent with each other unless she's got mind powers and is using something. Which
can do the touchy.
But in that moment when they're all kind of like going through the ship, there's just so many times where it's just like touch, and the whole thing is like you're not supposed to touch things. You're supposed to investigate them with your tricorder, and the very next thing, Spock reaches down and he touches something, and then the lady reaches down and she touches something. So I think it'd be kind of fun in my mind. I think it happens maybe 3 or 4 times where it's just like, stop touching things. It's just stop, ding, touching, ding, things, ding. And just shows each person like reaching for something.
Especially that neural implant thing. I was like, A, you identified what that was very quickly. And B, like, don't touch it. It's going to like attach itself to you. Have you never played D&D?
Yeah.
It's like what you did with the I think this was you, Ian, it's the Boba Fett episode where they said we will be asking no questions, and then we just did the bonus round of all the questions that immediately followed them saying no questions. Yeah,
30 questions, very probing questions that were asked. Okay, for me this was a very early sin, and it was Pike flirting with the nice lady while there is a child bleeding on the transporter pad. And then it takes like a full 3 minutes for the dad to say, "Can we get to sickbay, please?" Like he has a head wound, and Pike's just like, "Yeah, but boner."
Yes.
Yeah, but I hit that 10 years ago, and here we are again.
Exactly.
Oh dear, Aaron.
I cannot. And thanks, internet? ? I cannot stop looking at Pike's Johnny Bravo hair now. Like it is so distracting now. I can't stop looking at it. It's just so obvious and there and huge, and it's just like and what used to not even be in my mind is now like, are we doing like that old thing where they would have like plastic hair put on their head? You remember this was like a thing in like some like sitcoms and different things where they would actually wear like plastic hair. Anyways. So I'd probably find a way to send that.
Yeah, Pike's Peak is it's probably the most heavily memed thing in the world. Now, you see, they turned it into the Paramount Mountain and then put stars over it.
Deservedly so.
Oh man, it's beautiful though. Like he is a beautiful, subjectively beautiful man with beautiful hair.
Yeah,
I love it.
Agree.
Deneé.
I didn't mind some of the planet, visiting the planet, the alien planet, getting to see, how very like medieval almost it appeared. And it's very, very technologically advanced, but yet looks very ancient and things like that. So I didn't mind that. But there was a couple of the whole fight scene with the guards, escaping and stuff was eye rolling in a bad way for me. Sometimes it's fun to watch a fight scene, go a weird way. They start this
Sorry.
My God, you two. They start the fight scene off, and the guard just takes his weapon and he turns and he shoots the guy and obliterates him. So now we know this weapon, and then they continue to shoot at him as he runs away. Then they get to this hedges. And he's running straight, but then we go to physical hand-to-hand combat. It's like he's literally on a hedge. He has nowhere to go. He's running. Just fucking shoot the guy.
Is inexplicable.
So there's a lot about that scene that I would try to figure out how to succinctly sin, because that's a long sin. But my sin was he's just running through the hedge to shoot him. So there was a lot of, I don't know, that was very, and then we get to the tackling part, and he chucks his weapon off to the side so Pike can just tackle him, which is fucking dumb. And it all just felt very like a very forced, old school, telegraphed.
It went hand to hand for no reason.
Sometimes when you're in a combat situation like that, though, you have to hedge your bets. You know, you kind of. There we
go. I am going to jump off of that because I totally agree, and it infuriated me. Like, we've seen that these are vaporizer sticks, and they're just getting fired. The ones that miss are just getting fired off and landing where? What are they going to hit? And then just suddenly choosing to use it as a pugil stick instead of shooting it, and Pike charging him instead of shooting him. It was like, don't show us that it vaporizes people and then not use it to vaporize anybody. It's baffling.
My phaser's not set to stun.
Well, on the back of that, it was like, why isn't it set to stun? Do you not understand how a stun works? You don't have to kill him.
You don't have to
kill him. You can knock him out.
He probably could answer a lot of questions about a lot of things, but we're just going to draw that whole thing out. And why was he allowed to bring a phaser? Sure, he came as a friend, but certainly they're like, yeah, you don't need to have a phaser. Yeah, I wouldn't think the phaser
would be allowed. Yeah. I also just don't... It's like, what is the point of the stun setting then? If saying it's not on stun, that implies that if it was on stun, you don't need to worry about it. So why does it exist? Is it really just to prank people? Is it just to shoot the cat? Is that all we're doing here? Aaron?
Let's see. Is the actor that played... I don't know, Princess Leia. I don't know, whoever the
kid?
No,
the kid.
Is it
the kid?
My
is
lady,
Princess
just call
Leia.
her Lady.
Lady Lorelei or what? I don't know. Lady Leia. I don't know what the name of the character is. Anyway, is that actor a bad actor, or is it just really poorly written, like dialogue? Like, it's so
I didn't get either.
Oh, okay. I was just like, every facial expression, every sentence she said, I was rolling my eyes at. I was just like, this is really terrible.
Man, my actor radar may just be way, way off.
I didn't think she was that bad either, but I also feel like Aaron was enraged.
Yeah, you were probably triggered quite heavily.
This is why
by this episode.
But this is why I phrased it as a question, because I very much could be wrong about that. But because there is this thing that she may be doing, or the dialogue may be doing, that is supposed to be Shakespearean in quality, and sometimes that's just a little hard to make feel authentic. Sometimes that is just, it's difficult to pull off, and it just wasn't working for me.
Speaking in grand metaphors and grand sentences, it's not conversational, is it?
Yeah.
But I get that. But I didn't interpret it as bad, just different.
Okay, well then that one doesn't count, so I'll do a different one.
Okay. That's how this works.
I would definitely send like generic Royal Planet. Because every sci-fi property ever has
Naboo.
It's Naboo. It's Alderaan.
Yeah,
it's every
100%.
royal planet ever that has been. It's Nabooderon or whatever we would want to call it. But yeah, I would definitely send that.
Naboo Magellan. Yeah. Also Magellan. That was weird. Who named it Magellan? And do they call it Magellan?
Right.
Because Magellan is our thing.
Right.
Like, did they also have a Magellan? Like, that's strange. I think it's over to you, Deneé.
I would send the moment when the security officer brings contraband, or whatever you want to call it, these data chips that she's not supposed to have.
Stolen evidence.
And wants to just very casually sort of slide it over to Uhura.
Dump it on the cadet.
In 10 forward. Like, in where there's so many people around. As if this is supposed to be secret and subtle, you're in the wrong place for that.
Yeah.
Like, it seemed like, I'm like, I thought it was going to be another test.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
yeah,
because
like,
it's
you
like,
should have reported me to security. Yeah.
This is so obviously the wrong place. If this was an actual request, you'd be like, hey, can you meet me in my quarters or something? You wouldn't be like...
It's left with a note in her quarters. Don't ask how I got into your room.
Right.
Like, I'm everywhere.
Instead, she's like handing over a small laundry basket of like, here you go. And then she's just pulling them out.
It's the Watergate tape.
This and
yeah.
oh, these are... I'm not supposed to have these?
This part of a conspiracy?
What I wrote down was lesson 6 says know when to bend the rules, and I just wrote down, how about lesson 7, know where to bend the rules?
Know where.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing. That's so great.
I need you to figure out how, I need you to crack the code.
Without putting it into the computer, which, just to note, Uhura then puts them into the computer later on. No one cares that they've been stolen. There are no ramifications.
Did no one think that maybe what was really happening here is that the security officer didn't want to be the one to get busted later? Because did you notice that she's like, yeah, you can report to the captain.
Tell the captain. You take full credit for this.
It's also a terrible lesson, know when to bend the rules. It's like, okay, so subjectively, you just gave every single person the ability to go, you made it a lesson, and I decided this was one of those times. Yeah.
Subjective.
It's also not a very Lan thing to do. She is so by the book. It's an odd rule to have.
That whole Zombieland lesson number, whatever thing was really interesting.
Oh, that needs to stop.
Yeah.
And I think Star Trek actually started
Did
they? Because in fact, it's an episode we watched today, the game. That visiting ensign has the list of rules that's played by Ashley Judd, and she tells them all to Wesley.
Nice.
And she just has a rule that is so fucking plot specific, it's unreal. It's rule 72: never trust a Ferengi when they violate the warp core and put the ship on red alert.
That's very Zombieland.
You have a rule for this very specific situation. That's interesting.
Oh
dear.
Yep.
This was a big one for me. I always dial into the tech stuff. Number one is trying desperately to get in touch with Pike and contact him, and they're worried. And he gets knocked out, has a conversation, flips open the communicator, and says, now, number one, beam me up. She should not have been waiting for a cue. It's as soon as he is reachable again, it would have been immediate energized, because they don't know if he's knocked out, dead, in trouble, etc.
I found that strange too.
It should have been automated.
It was we're left to assume that they had a conversation.
But he's been knocked out. We know they didn't. We know that they didn't, because we've seen him from being unconscious to waking up.
It was a really awkward choice.
Yeah, it's very, very strange.
It would have been so much better. Okay, so imagine that they're arguing back and forth, and then he's just beamed up mid-word. That would have been really funny.
Put me down. Put me back in
I want to go back and finish my argument.
Gosh dang it. Yeah, very, very true. Aaron?
Do you know the phrase hanging a lantern? Have you heard this phrase? Okay.
No.
Is this about boogers?
It sure is. No, it is not. So hanging a lantern is what happens in content when somebody knows that they have a plot hole or something that doesn't make sense, and they bring attention to it. So they hang a lantern on it and go, okay, if we mention it, then other people can forgive us for it.
Got it.
This episode has one of the biggest hanging lanterns I've ever seen, because it doesn't attempt to do anything other than just state the problem.
Oh, boy. Oh, no.
It is when she says, so you're saying there's no way to contact the captain exactly when I need to contact the captain? That's all she says.
And cut.
It's yes. What?
I thought that was going somewhere.
Yes.
Because it cuts to Spock, and his expression, I thought he was going to be like, no, you're right. I've got this. Let me figure it out.
It's almost crazy she didn't add conveniently for the plot. It's so specifically directed. It's amazing.
I was expecting that to head towards, we've been sabotaged, or there's a reason behind this. But no, you're right. It just cuts off. It just
cuts.
We can't right now.
So what you're saying is, at the specific moment I need to talk to him, for some convenient reason, I can't talk to him? Oh, my goodness.
Oh, man, that's brilliant. I love that so much. Yeah. I didn't think of it in that context. I just thought of it as strange.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Deneé?
I think I would try to figure out a way to... this sort of plays into what we're talking about with the way that the plot was very predictable for me. But they save the child, they return him to the planet, and they're trying to build this tension in the background as well. Now the dad/doctor is finally revealing the secret. And it was just all of this should have been discussed before going back to the planet. There's obviously something going on. There's an assassination. The kid's been beamed off the ship, potentially blown up. Something is going on, but let's just willy-nilly get him to the planet ASAP because Pike has a boner. that to me was the biggest sin of this show, is how quickly he decides to do something. They all agree, because we've seen them disagree before. We've seen them be captain, I don't think this is right. And we've seen him just instantly stop and go, you know what? I'm not ready to make this decision yet. Or let's hear everyone's thoughts first. But because like our planet's going to be destroyed and everyone's going to die, and this is a super quick thing, like, yep, we just need 1 minute. Let's figure this out, right? Like I think we were supposed to understand that the planet is going to devolve, but because they didn't like tell us more than just someone saying it, I don't believe that to be true. I don't feel the weight of that decision. Anyway, all of this should have been discussed beforehand. So I think the simple sin would just be at one moment kind of in that space, like, this would have been information to have yesterday. And perhaps the sin, honestly, is why would the dad not confide in them ASAP? Why would he not pull someone aside and just say, listen, my son's life is in danger. They're going to kill him. This is what I'm like. Why would you not, if everything is at risk, why are you hiding it so intently? If you're hiding the kid on this ship, like, it's just nuts to me that they wouldn't.
I kind of get it, because he's like super mistrusting. Like, he has no reason to think that Starfleet won't just immediately say, oh, he's a traitor, let's fuck him up and give the kid back regardless. Like, we know Starfleet are the good guys, but he doesn't. As far as he knows, they're pretty much allies. But yeah, you're right. They should have had some discussion about.
If you have nothing to lose, and you're in the circumstance, as soon as Lady is gone off that ship, that doctor would have been like, I'm in fucking trouble.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. There's no like telepaths on board, are there? Because they would have immediately figured out half of this. I don't think every ship should have a telepath on board. It should just be like completely standard. I don't know. I've only got one more big one, and it's this extremely specific and targeted phaser attack that Captain Pike orders on the enemy ship. Yeah, give it to the cadet, who I have to speak through which buttons to press, and you're surprised she fucks
the communications person. Up. She's not even like the phaser chick, right? Like, that's not
like
her.
She's on rotation. So I just mean, like,
right.
When she's got training wheels on, don't put her down like a BMX ramp. Like, she doesn't know what buttons to press.
Yeah.
It was baffling to me.
That was rough.
Target practice, man. Like, asteroids, how do they work? Like, shoot them. I don't know why you're putting her in a live fire situation.
Let's go with this one. There's a moment in the episode where Pike says something about, when somebody fires on a Federation ship, we have to, investigate whether or not, you give us permission to or whatever. And then they say they're going to go to this like ship and explore. And the lady's like, I'm coming with you, with or without your cooperation. And I'm just like, so you're going to jump? Like how? Like how?
Are you gonna swim there? Are you gonna beam down?
What is the like? It's not like it's hard for them to keep you from going. Like, they just.
Oh my god, that's so funny. I had that similar thought, but I didn't write anything down. That is so funny, because you're like, okay, cool.
I mean,
good luck with that.
It's also it's a this works sin as well. Like they let her go too, which is so weird.
It's almost like a little bit patronizing, because the next shot is on Pike's face, and he does like this little smirk of, I respect your power, and I am attracted to you thusly.
Yeah.
It's kind of like we shall let the powerful woman do what she wants.
Yeah.
Because boner. Yeah.
Because boner. I think I only have one more, but I don't know if this is actually a sin, but there's a moment when she's investigating coins and such. And when she saw the coin, one side was defaced.
Oh,
so
this bugs yes.
Yeah, but then when she's investigating everybody's necklaces, she's not looking at both sides.
No,
she's looking at the side that would not be defaced. And the only thing that gives her a clue is that the container around the coin looks like it might be damaged a little bit. But that whole thing to me was strange. Like, if she's not looking at both sides of the coin, then how does she know that one side is legit and the other side is defaced?
Well, can we, the fact that she only sees that like the case is broken suggests that he removed it, defaced it, and then got a new one and put it back in. And I'm like, what is the cause and effect here?
And was he on the ship? Or
was it his coin?
Because because they beamed off the ship. That's how. Okay. I was trying to figure out like how like he survived the ship thing, but they said that they beamed off.
Well, I think the idea is that there may have been more than one too, and that the guards that there are a few guards that have done this.
Yeah.
I just, for me, I think the show is indicating that the other side would have been defaced, right? And that's why he didn't show it to her, is because it would, okay, right? So
Yeah.
I think so.
So my question is, in movies and shows do this all the time, and maybe there is a part of human nature that is like this, and maybe I'm just too duplicitous to understand, but just wear a regular coin. Like, you can deface the one you have at home. You know what I mean? Like, what is it? Why would you wear around your neck an advertisement that you are not who you claim to be? Like,
I'm the bad guy.
Yeah, very Billie Eilish. Duh.
Deneé?
I mean, if I have one more, it would be Star Trek Bingo. And so we finally have our Pike, Bones, and Alien. So I feel like if we were ever going to play Star Trek Bingo, we could create a bingo card that would have that on there, and then we could just like pull the visual of the bingo card up on the screen and then put the little stamp on there because we hit our bingo. So by the end of the season, we would hope that all of the bingo card would be filled up. That'd be kind of a fun play on how we sometimes will play bingo, sin bingo with the shows that we send. Which I think we started. Did we start that on the CW, Aaron?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we called it Shirt Show Bingo or something like that. Yeah. So, yeah, that was definitely on CW. Let's see. I mentioned a lot. Like, I just have written down, I am so bored. I would probably send that at some point. I think I did briefly mention that I didn't feel the chemistry between the two of them. So that would probably be send. Not seeing the sacrificial virgin thing coming, I would probably send. This is one we haven't talked about. So there's this moment where they are in conversation with the doctor that's watching over the boy, and Pike asks him, some question that's finally getting to the root of it all. And it pauses as if he's about to tell them the truth. Right in this moment where he's about to say, this is what's going on, Spock literally comes over the comms with, you better come take a look at this.
I know.
Like, it is.
You better come take a look at this.
It's not just a you better come take a look at this cliche. It interrupts the exact moment. Like, can Pike not go, hey, yeah, Spock, just give me 1 second. I think he's actually going to tell us, like, everything that's going on.
You were about to say,
sir. Walk with me. Walk with me and tell me what you're
come on. We have a lot to cover. Come on, let's go together.
The gratuitous, you dragged me down here for this? Like, it's important. It's fucking Spock. He didn't drag you down here for a cup of tea.
And then the other one was also with the doctor of the boy, where the boy's been playing with a transporter girl. And then M'Benga goes in there and they have a full conversation. And then, like, 8 minutes later, the doctor comes in and he's like, hey, I heard some noises. What's going on? Oh, you mean the boy you've been here to watch the entire time, that you're super concerned about his life? You just let him wander into another room and hang out for about 8 minutes? Like,
just play with a matter transportation device. That's fine. What could possibly go wrong?
It was like, I've chosen this moment to regain my consciousness about where the child I'm supposed to be protecting is.
And I think the little defense that the boy gave was, I was getting a midnight snack. So I think we're supposed to assume that he was asleep.
Could be.
Yeah, that's what we're meant to assume.
Fair enough.
Floofy.
And then, there were a lot of candles in that lovemaking scene.
Yes, there was.
And it not only candles, but lots of atmosphere. And I'm just thinking,
so much atmosphere.
You guys were making out, right? And what you did was you went back to whoever's place, and then you set it all up and got all the atmosphere right, and then started back in on the process.
She was ready.
Right, yeah.
She had that room ready to go. She had a hand servant do that.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Without it.
Might be argumentative.
Perhaps that entire room looked like an IKEA catalog.
It really did.
I looked around, I was like naming all of like the lamps
and everything,
the room divider,
yeah,
the little like throw rug that's on there as
like
well.
the 70s circular lamps that are coming back in now. Yeah,
that was so great. That was definitely that.
And just to cleanse my palate from all the sins, I will mention something that I did like that I didn't get, that I forgot to mention before.
Okay, and on a positive,
I love it when people use words that aren't in a lot of usage, because I find that educational. And the doctor calls their hospital room an abattoir. And I just thought that I thought that was really beautiful. He's like, consistent the state of this abattoir or whatever. And I was like, oh, that's beautiful. An abattoir is a butcher shop, which is like where they cut meat and stuff. And so I was just like, oh, and it makes perfect sense. And so
this is where we put the meat sacks.
Yeah,
it's just
exactly.
I
enjoyed it.
Yes. Oh, man. Okay, well, did you want to talk any more about the child sacrifice and how, because we didn't actually mention it as a sin.
I feel like we covered it pretty well.
Yeah?
For me, I would have focused in on the word ascent. Like, it's just one of those words that cults use. It's like we're going to, like, from, what was the Haley's Bop cult back in my childhood?
Oh,
yeah. We will all ascend and ascend. Like, it's such a culty word. And, so anyways. That's where I would have focused.
Yeah, no one stops to ask questions when there's convert time for. No, this is just like, oh, cool, you're going to ascend. That's awesome. When are we going to have sex? That's pretty much the whole thing. It's he's not interested in like she's like talking about her culture, and there's so much time to specify those kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But no. It's I want to get to the bedroom with you. And
I love the fact that she genuinely thinks he's going to be cool with the child murder thing. She's genuinely heartbroken. She's like, I brought you into our world to see the child murder. How can you leave me?
Yeah, why can't you be here and endorse this?
Yeah.
It's the typical, we will not interfere and we will not violate your culture, but I will violate you. I have no issue doing that.
Here's, maybe the sin here is, let's think of the better plan. If you wanted to get Pike to be on board, hey, we live in a society that is suspended above death. We have an entire network underneath it that if it fails, we all die. You want to hang out with us? No, not really. What's the plan? Okay, go with me here. We super, super, super know that this is fucked up. So the way
let me finish.
The way that we kind of counteract that level of fucked upness is by honoring him.
Yeah.
Him or her. Let me specify that him or her is also a child. I don't feel like I'm being specific. Let me show you this chamber. Let me go show you this tortured child that we're going to pop out of the battery machine in a couple days. It's real important. We do a quick switcheroo anyway. Don't get too attached to the kid. It's kind of our thing.
The Gorn have they have sacks where they kidnap people and feed off of them. We're not as bad as the Gorn. They're really fucked up. What we're doing is fine. We just sacrifice one kid a year.
Let me just remind you that your society has hungry, desperate children too. Okay, ours is loved and cared for and tortured for an entire year without, any break. It's just it's awful. But we love this planet and we want to stay here because we're technologically advanced. And also, did I mention we float?
Yes,
that's pretty cool.
I honestly don't know why they didn't just move to a different planet. That's so true.
What would stop them?
I mean, they're spacefaring. They have the technology. They can
have another
relocate.
Planet where a lot of them live that don't agree with this. This is not. It already exists.
That icy planet, which isn't very nice, admittedly. It's as if that's the only option. I don't get it.
Why go to the extreme opposite? For fuck's sake!
Yeah.
Come on. Okay, no, we're gonna do lava on this one and ice on this one. Find another way. Man. Join the Federation. Listen, we need help to get out of here because we literally live on the screams of a child for 365 days.
It's terrifying.
But it's not really hurting our conscience because we honor him. So it's cool. Anyway, you want to come live with me? Also great sex.
Yes.
We don't know that. I don't feel like there was enough information.
That's true.
They seemed pretty happy
I'm just
afterwards.
asking for it to be a little more clear. That's all. I'm just asking for shows to be a little more clear.
He was laying down, super relaxed. They were laughing and chilling. If he had had a bad time, he would have been out of there pretty quick, I'm pretty sure.
The post-coital conversation did seem pretty nice. So.
It was nice.
Okay, man, after that battering, let's head over to the final stop, which is the Captain's Ready Room. Welcome to the Captain's Ready Room, where we hear our predictions for the rest of the season and bask in our time crystal-like glory, if any of them have come true. I think last week I said something about Kirk coming back, and he did.
You did.
Hey. Kirk's moustache makes a return.
Another, every character this, pops in, hey, I got my line, and then leaves.
Hello. Bye. I'm conflict adverse. Goodbye. Yeah, right, Aaron. You said you had a prediction.
Oh no, I was just going to ask, how long do we think before the daughter's cured? Does it happen in the finale? Does it happen before the finale?
I think end of the season.
You think this season's big wrap up is daughter gets cured and out of teleportation?
Yeah, I think so. I also predict that we're gonna have a cliffhanger. I think, considering we don't have the theme that needs to be wrapped up, I think we will end on a big hook for season 2.
How about this prediction that goes along with my very first prediction about this daughter storyline is going to have a sacrifice to it. The daughter ends up as the eternal supporter of this planet and is able to keep it going. And because she's been in the teleporter or whatever, that she has some sort of, ability to, they won't have to replace the child.
I like that.
It's just a Gorn. You just put the Gorn in there.
A Gorn kid.
Oh man, that would be really cool, wouldn't it?
Or whatever they're called.
Good. Gorn. I can't think of anything better than Gornling. That's so annoying.
I really just like that you just keep saying Gorn over and over again.
Gorn?
I just keep thinking they're going to tie things together. I just keep thinking that, one thing's going to have to do with the other, and that we'll be able to save this child, but that M'Benga will have to realize that there isn't really a way to save his daughter, but that his daughter's life can mean something if it's in this machine or whatever, and saving this civilization from having to do child sacrifice every year.
No, that makes sense.
But it's just that'll never happen. But it's just one of those things that did pop into my brain.
No, it would be beautiful, but I mean, there's got to be something to it, hasn't there? So next week's episode is called The Serene Squall. Squall,
which is like a big wave, right? Or a big storm. It's a big storm.
A squall, is it?
Yeah, I think squall is like a big storm.
Oh, that's a bit of like an oxymoronic title then. So you can't have
it's like the eye of the storm. It's another way to maybe say like the eye of the storm, that kind of thing.
Cool. Okay, well that doesn't really help us decide what's going to happen next week. But you're plumping for a Save the Kid sequel.
I don't know if it happens this year, but I feel like it does. But I feel like the Pike stuff is going to go a long time. Like, that's going to just be
no. It has to.
Lingering there for a while. So I feel like this season, if it is doing one of those overarching, let's finish this story, it has to be M'Benga's daughter. Like, that has to be it. We've gotten several peeks into it. And I just feel like some of these pieces are going to come back together. I also feel like we have to see the Gorn again, right? Like
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Okay, well, as always, thanks for listening, everyone. And ending this pod is something I'm obliged to do, both by Federation law and my own conscience. So it's goodbye from me.
It's science, service, and ski-daddle from me.
And I'll be over here hopscotching with my noble gases from me.
Nice. And as always, live long and podsper.
Thanks for listening. Want to connect with the show? Our hailing frequencies are always open through captainspod@cinemasins.com. Like, comment, and subscribe on your podcast player of choice, and be sure to visit cinemasins.com.
Deneé, are we mentioning your sickness or are we glossing over it?
I don't think you can avoid it.
Okay,
People are going to be like, what the absolute fuck is happening with Deneé?
Wow. Why does she sound so husky and seductive? I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to say, where are you going, Ian? Where you going, buddy?
All hands abandoned ship.
I don't want to make the captain mad.
That is not possible. You couldn't make me mad.
Enterprise sucks.
Oh, wow.
I was teasing. It was a joke.
Wow.
That was a joke. It was just a reaction. So.
Yeah, consider me reacted.
Oh, no.
Done.
I take it back.
Did you say Enterprise? Like the show Enterprise?
Is it Enterprise?
Now, which one?
The ship.
No, yeah, but which Enterprise?
Yeah, I was just in general.
All of them? What?
I was joking, remember? I was joking.
Oh. That's my sad red alert. Like something really horrible happens on the ship.
I'll break this right now.
No, what are you doing? It's already janky.
This thing makes me so happy.
It is the blobfish of Star Trek ships.
Oh no! So what Deneé is holding up?
love this.
It's beautiful. What Deneé is holding up is my little clay Enterprise that I made. When everybody else was making tortoises, I made an Enterprise, and it has a wonky nacelle. And it is beautiful, damn it.
Yes, it is beautiful like a French bulldog.
Oh. I got batteries in my phaser.
Oh, nice.
So,
it's important.
yeah, I think so. No.
You always need fresh batteries in your personal devices at all times.
You had to make it weird. It's me zapping you with judgment.
But is it giving you pleasure every time you push the button? Because it seems to be.
I was just going to ask if batteries are like standard issue for phasers or not.
I think they go
Is
into
that
like a
how
little...
they operate?
I think they go into like a charging dock.
Okay. So they are
Yeah.
battery operated.
They don't have wireless electricity in the Star Trek
Oh, no,
universe?
of course they do. Yeah.
Because in that case, they'd just be charging
time.
constantly
Always.
as long as they were
Yeah.
within.
Yeah, the docking stations may be for like routine maintenance to make sure that they're all functional.
Yeah, and to keep them somewhere locked and safe.
Right.
Because
Right.
you don't want your... Unless you're Riker and then you just chuck a phaser at Beverly when she just happens to have one on the side. Did we watch that episode today?
No, but they chucked phasers in, I think, what was it, episode 2 or something of Strange New
Yeah.
Worlds, and you're like, why are we throwing phasers?
Why are we throwing phasers? There is an episode where Beverly... Oh, they're talking about who's going to babysit Data's cat Spot. And Riker's like, I don't want to do it, so you can do it. And as Riker leaves sickbay, there just so happens to be a phaser by the door that he picks up and throws at her and says, here, you're going to need this. And I was like, why are you throwing phasers? And why was it there to begin with? It's sickbay.
And also a cat? Why would you need a phaser for a cat?
You've never owned a cat, have you, Deneé? Just a little stun.
It's like a spray bottle.
Yes.
It's like the Star Trek
Yes.
version of a spray
No.
bottle. That's all it
Put it on
is.
a wide
Stunning
beam.
someone is very different than just...
Set phasers to spray. You know,
Yes.
like it's one of the
Or
settings.
if you need them neutered, set phasers to spay.
Exactly.
Wow.
I'm still blown away by the fact that phones don't have auxiliary inputs anymore.
I know.
I can't just fumble around and put a cord in.
I went to go get my earbuds that plug in, and I thought, oh my God, I can't do that anymore.
No, you have to have wireless.
Meanwhile, I'm over here begging medical science to figure out biological implants so that I can just have speakers in my ear that connect.
The absolute
all times.
opposite extreme. What if like they just stop connecting and then you have to like go in for surgery and have new ones put in because inevitably they will stop working.
You say inevitably it'll just stop working and malfunction to the guy that has a device on his heart that can control the beats per
Yeah,
minute
okay, that's fair.
that it does,
Yeah.
that has a 15-year battery.
Yep, that's fair.
Hey, speaking of Mr. Dicer,
Yeah.
how did your doctor's appointment go? Which is one of my
was great.
favorite things that you do, which is when you go and you spend like a half of a day sitting with elderlies.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh no, were you like by far the youngest person there?
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
by
no.
20 years.
Oh,
by
no.
20 years. Yeah, everybody else in there is high 60s, 70s, 80s. And I go in and I just sit there and I wait. I try to, get whatever work I can get done on my phone or, listen to podcasts. And then then I go back there and they're like, "Yeah, you're really healthy. So we'll see you in 6 months."
Nice. Great.
That's the whole thing. And it's just
Wow.
like, yep. Still haven't figured out your, genetic thing why your heart stops, but
You're still here.
But everything looks good. Heart's beating well, great blood pressure. Everything's good. The weirdest part of those things that they have to do every single time, every 6 months, is when they test the device and they will speed up my heart. So you're just sitting there.
No.
And then all of a sudden your heart is going twice as
Wait,
fast as it usually does. So
they manually...
just twist the dial,
Oh,
man.
no. No. Somebody has control of your
It is-
heart. They're just like, dial it up.
Yep.
No, they don't.
Not only that, but like a phone call away. He could call his doctor and be like, hey,
Wait, it's
da-da-da-da-da. And he
remote.
could just be like, do-do-do-do. And it's just,
No, that's messed
That's
up.
not. I don't know that that's
Okay,
true.
all right,
I don't
okay.
know that that's true.
okay, he'd have to get in his
but-
car and he'd have to be in closer proximity with his little device.
Correct. They have a connector device,
Okay.
like a proprietary connector device that has to be used
Oh, yeah.
to connect
they,
it to.
They tell you that. They tell you it has to be within a certain distance.
But anyways, that is the freakiest part because you're just sitting there. You're not doing anything.
No shit.
And your heart is just sending so much blood through your body. And you can feel it. Like your extremities get warm and you can feel like how your heart's beating faster. It is a wild
they test
thing.
cars when they make a car and they'll put it on like a little thing and they'll just like, and they just rev it up. It's basically that with doctors and nurses sitting by going, and we're clear.
Interesting. They're just revving your engine, little oil change.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm having the same thing, because I have COVID. So I walked in this room and I just sat down and my heart rate's just crazy right now.
Yeah. Somebody has your little button as well and they're just turning it up.
It's a fucking virus, man. The virus is in there like, yeah, let's take this thing for a ride.
How's your taste?
Like in general, like in clothing.
Is it coming back at all yet?
I feel like I have good taste in clothing.
People.
Your taste in film?
Yes.
Questionable. I think people would question my taste in film. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But today I almost impulsively decided to watch The Lost City.
No,
it's
watch
good.
The Lost City. You'll actually enjoy that, I think.
Yeah.
That's really fun.
Because I fucking love Sandra Bullock.
Oh, then you're going to have such a
She's
blast.
one of my favorites. She and Tom Hanks can like almost do no wrong for me.
Right.
Have they been in a film together?
Ooh, as a test, Deneé, have Tom Hanks and Sandra
Funnily
Bullock,
enough,
your two
that
favorites.
was not aimed at Deneé. No offense, Ambassador.
My sense of taste is, so it was gone for about 10 hours. And then as of this morning, I can taste things, but not as intensely. Yeah. My symptoms were, I think, upon reflection, not that bad.
Good.
Especially compared to stories I've heard. I know several people personally who like essentially needed to be hospitalized and couldn't be because the hospitals are still very full. So my mom, she was demanding that I, go to the hospital and go see a doctor. And I'm just thinking like she was so worried for me, but it was because I wasn't communicating because I was so tired. So I just I was trying to send out mental messages like, I'm fine, mother. I'm fine.
Just let me rest.
She actually cursed at me.
Oh my.
I know.
Which one?
She
Which
said
one?
ass. Whoa.
Whoa, Nelly. As in stop being or
No, she said
URA?
get your ass to the hospital. That's what she said. So I don't know why it was that serious for her when she also has it and it's worse.
Oh no.
This is the first time I've had coffee. I think that's probably a bad idea considering my heart rate's already pretty high.
That's fair.
So I think I'm going to slow down on that. But I'm really tired. So I thought caffeine would be helpful. We'll see.
I can't believe it's your first. I thought I saw you drink it like every week, all the time.
No, I mean, since I've been sick.
No, I know.
Oh. That wasn't funny.
I just watched it. I just watched it just fly right over her head.
That wasn't funny at all. Since I click on so much stuff, Star Trek now, I get inundated with Star Trek news things sent to me.
You're cultivating the correct feed. Well done.
I already had a lot of space stuff. I send Ian random facts about space
I love
all
it.
the time.
It's the best.
Just things I find really fascinating. But there was a clickbait one about Uhura, right? Where she had said something and it was so infuriating because it was meant to make us feel like she was accusing the writers of reading her journal without her permission to get inspiration for the show. But what it actually was her saying like, this stuff is so fun to act out. It's as if they were reading my own journal. I can relate to the character. And it's just the way that they twist that shit is so nasty.
It would be like if she said, this character is so me, it's like they're reading my mind. And then the article was like, actor accuses staff of being mind readers
100%.
and having,
The headline was literally like actor that plays Uhura accuses writers of breaching her privacy.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Are you kidding? There was inflammatory and then there's just lying. I'm not even gonna name the website that published the article, but
don't give them any oxygen.
Infuriated me.
Because that's why they do it. Well, that is why they do it.
Because this asshole clicked on it and then just got really angry about it and then told 10 other people that also clicked on it. And
I swear to God, we're going to get to Star Trek in a second, but I do want to say I've started doing something with Twitter and with my feeds as well. If I find a site that does shit like that, I say I'm not interested in this ad. I started doing it with a game in particular. There's this one game, and it's all about making an ugly girl beautiful. She has a boyfriend, but then he kisses another girl, and then she falls in a mud puddle, and she gets out of the mud puddle. She's covered in mud. She's got hairy armpits and a unibrow and all this stuff. And the whole game is about making her beautiful. And so like you shave her eyebrows and you shave her body hair and you clean her up and you give her makeup and everything, and then she can get her guy back. I'm not fucking kidding you. This is the games that they have, and they target women and they target little girls as well. Iris is already getting targets on her video games for stuff that's kind of similar like this. Like it's like grooming them towards this type of thing. I used to just be like, whatever.
Really weird pun. Grooming them.
Yes, it is. Well, yeah, that was bad.
The shuttle blew up, Ian.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it did.
We're killing kids on the show.
Has anyone ever done a mashup of Star Wars and Star Trek themes?
Oh, I guarantee it.
Has to have happened, right?
There has to be. Yeah. There's no way that hasn't happened. Captain's Pod, stardate 313622.1. Welcome aboard to start. No shit, because we're early. Captain's Pod, stardate 30. Are we ready? Let's do it. This is a part of the show. No, it's not, though, is it?
This is a story all about how
my transporter daughter got turned inside out.
Oh no! Shit!
Wow.
What are we doing to children this episode? My God!
Wow.
I'm gonna vamp for a second because I'm trying to find the title episode.
Is it Gorn Forever?
Gorn but not forgotten.
Gorn in 60 seconds.
Nice.